I'm Ashley Billingsley, and you're listening to PC3 Radio. Stay tuned, because up next is my new show, Histories and Mysteries. And guys, listen, I promise this first song will not take centuries. So once again, I'm Ashley Billingsley, and this is Histories and Mysteries. So a lot of people might think that history is like boring for whatever reason. I don't know. I think history is interesting personally, but that's your choice. But it's not just history. We're also going to have some mysteries sprinkled in, like the story of Egypt, Pandora's box, and even a serial killer from England, and so much more. Plus, later we're going to have a little special guest for the Pandora's box segment, so you're going to want to stick around for that. But first off, we have Echoes of the Past, and today we're going to be starting with Egypt. So now before we start, I just want to let you guys know I got all of my information from Britannica.com. So let's get into it. 5,000 years ago, the Egyptian civilization arose. It is known as one of the world's earliest civilizations. And of course, everyone knows they created several pyramids, temples, palaces, and tombs. The Egyptian hieroglyphics are known as one of the best hieroglyphics ever made, which I think is interesting because it's such an early civilization. So the Egyptians, being one of the first civilizations, were also one of the first people to ever like preserve their dead in a way that we could like go back and look at. Once excavated, there were several different things found like at the tombs, such as leather, pottery, tools, jewelry, preserved food, wood, and like hieroglyphic tablets. And inside the tombs, there was several paintings like depicting how the person lived, what they would do in their everyday life. Which is because the Egyptians believed that even though they're in the tomb, that their body would like, not their body, but their soul would like come back and go into the afterlife. So they wanted to kind of remind people of who they were like while they were living, which I found very interesting personally. But inside the tombs would also be items the person loved, such as amulets, figurines, and like I said before, preserved food, but that was like their favorite meals. So there's even more stuff just to remind them of who they were. There was once even a mummy found like buried with her dog, which I'm like, a dog? I mean, hey, if I could be buried with my dog in ancient Egypt, why not? But that woman was believed to be Queen Hernith. I think I pronounced that right. I'm not really sure. But now, a lot of you might be wondering, like, how are mummies even created in the first place? How are they preserved? Why? Like, why? So we're not really going to get too into that because it's a little, like, little graphic. But if you want to look that up on your own time, go ahead. But what I can say is that the Egyptians had a extensive knowledge on how the human body works, and they had some of the earliest medicine and surgical records ever found. So somehow they were able to, like, with their hieroglyphics, to record like this is how you do this to someone to preserve their body. They also had over 700 cures for the common illness, and several depictions of, like I said before, how to preserve their dead. So that's how we kind of like know like what they did other than just the mummies themselves. And yes, medical records are signs of very advanced civilizations already, but there are also a few other indications of just how advanced the Egyptians were. So seeing as they were some of the first civilizations, people might tend to think like similar to the caveman in ways that they don't have the best clothing, they might not like have the best nature, like stuff like that. But that I can tell you is very, very wrong. The Egyptians would actually wear clothing and have their hair done based on their social classes. So higher classes like emperors and empresses or whatever they were called wore like several different colored beads and had very bright makeup and even had their hair like in very intricate designs, which personally I thought was pretty cool. But the makeup that they would wear as like a higher class would mainly consist of like greens, blacks, and really any other dye that they could easily make. Which, and now here's the part I'm sure you guys kind of been waiting for, are the pyramids. So there are several different theories on how Egyptians actually made their pyramids. My favorite has to be like with the help of aliens from other galaxies. I've heard so much about that. It's it's insane. Honestly, it's a cool theory to believe. I don't really think that's what happened though, because we kind of have like evidence on how they really made them. So once again, they're advanced civilization. I keep emphasizing that, but the real way they made the pyramids was very simple. They would have like several different slaves working on them using sledges, hammers, and ramps. Lots and lots of ramps. So once a royal child was born, because primarily the pyramids were tombs for the royal children and like anyone who's royal, they would immediately start working on their tombs from like the day that they were born. Like, I mean, thousands of slaves would work on these pyramids like day and night, rain or shine, because like you got to get it done before they die, because like that's their resting place. So yeah, that is how advanced the Egyptians were. I loved learning about Egypt when I was like, once again, probably like middle school, early freshman. I don't know, I find them very interesting, and it's only right that I play this song. So this is Walk Like an Egyptian by the Bangles. So I don't know about you guys, but I'm probably gonna have that song stuck in my head the rest of the day. So now it's time for everyone's favorite segments, probably one of my favorite, deities, demigods, and daring tales. And today we have a guest. Hello.
Hi everybody, it's me, Jake. I'm back.
So I'm gonna tell you guys
Greek debunking.
Yes, I'm gonna be telling you guys like the version that I found, and then Jake's gonna kind of go into the actual version.
About how you're wrong, or you might be right. I'd be pleasantly
No,
surprised.
I'm probably gonna be wrong. Let's be for real. I'm probably gonna be wrong, but
It's
this
okay.
is
There's a lot of interpretations out there.
that's true. My interpretation is from GreekMythology.com and GreekBoston.com.
I did see GreekMythology.com. That's a very compressed version, but I want to see if you got something that I missed.
I don't know. So I'll go ahead and tell my version. You can tell me how wrong I am. But first off, Pandora in Greek means the one who bears all gifts, which makes sense for like her and her name. So she was created as a punishment, kind of saying that all her gifts were evil. But she was created by multiple gods. I'm probably going to pronounce this one wrong. Hepatitis, I think is how you pronounce that.
Hephaestus.
Yes, thank you. See, this is why I have Jake here, guys. Listen, okay. But anyway, she was made from clay, and then Aphrodite gifted her, like, her feminine, like, everything, and Athena taught her how to craft. Zeus caught word of her creation and decided to order Hermes to teach Pandora how to be deceitful and stubborn. Not really sure why, but anyway. Now we're going to get to the actual, like, Pandora's box. So she was given her box by the other gods, and they told her that it contained special gifts, but under no circumstance could it actually be opened. But Pandora could not contain her curiosity and opened the box. To her disbelief, the box was full of illnesses and hardship that the gods wanted to hide. So for some reason, they put all of, like, the evil in a box and gave it to her. Anyway, after seeing all the evil spirits come out, she tried to close the box as fast as she could, but she ended up closing hope inside that box, seeing as it was the last thing left. Pandora's box contained all the evil spirits of greed, envy, hatred, pain, disease, hunger, poverty, war, death, and like I said, anything bad. But the one thing that couldn't get out was hope, so that's kind of like the whole like thing is that ever since humans have been able to hold on to this hope, they would survive the wickedness that she let out. So Jake, what's your kind of
You got the
version?
Basics down perfectly. That was wonderful.
Okay,
But
I'm very proud of myself for that.
You should be. You should be.
Thank you.
Just like most myths, like I said, they get distilled down, and like I mean, you're missing some key stuff. You want to talk about that? It's actually pretty interesting.
Yeah.
So you kind of were like, oh, why did well, actually, let's start why Pandora was created. The gods didn't just go, oh yeah, let's make this perfect mortal lady. They don't do that. They're little weenies most of the time.
Yes, that's very true.
So they do nothing like that. So I'm gonna disclaimer. This is the version that is typically most popular. So this is the one that I'm going with.
Okay.
Basically, do you know who Prometheus is?
I know the name, but I forgot what he was like the god.
He was a Titan.
Oh, a Titan. Okay.
So he was the Titan that stole fire from oh my gosh, I can't remember her name. She had a fire, a little hearth at the center of Olympus, and he brought it to humans. So he brought fire to humans.
It's pretty
and
cool.
Zeus decided to punish him, basically.
Oh, of course, as Zeus does, because he's awful.
Of course. So he goes down, okay, Prometheus, I don't like you, so I'm going to go punish you. I'm not going to talk about the punishment because it is gruesome.
Oh,
Look
lovely.
it up. He did not deserve what he got. Yeah.
Yet another reason why we don't like Zeus.
But Prometheus had a brother, Epimetheus, or Epimetheus.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to call him Epi. How does that sound? Like
Aw.
the pen. We're going to call him Epi.
I love it.
So Zeus decides, hey, punishment for Prometheus going against my wishes because, I'm this big dude and I can't be, denied or whatever.
Oh, of course.
And he's like, okay, I'm going to punish his brother too because the original punishment wasn't enough. So he goes to Hephaestus and he outsources his work to Hephaestus and says, hey, I need you to create me the perfect mortal woman who I can control and influence. So Hephaestus goes to I know, great, right?
Love
Zeus
that.
is not manipulative at all.
No, never. What do you,
So-
he's such a good guy. Like, he's so nice and just amazing, yeah?
Oh, I hate Zeus.
Don't we all?
So yeah, Hephaestus goes around to all the other gods and is like, "Hey, you guys got like magical powers and like you're gods of things. Give me a little bit of this in this clay right here." And they all do
Ooh.
that, and he eventually crafts Pandora. So Zeus, oh yeah, and the part Hermes wasn't originally a part of Hephaestus's plan. So Zeus goes and he's like, "Hey Hermes, teach this lady how to like be bad." And Hermes goes, "Okay."
Okay. Because, like, who's gonna tell Zeus no?
Exactly, right?
He's terrifying.
He
He is.
is. That's a story for another time.
I'll have to have you come on again for that.
Yeah, I actually
Maybe that'll be next week.
teaser to those of you who out there who like Greek mythology. I'm currently trying to negotiate a spot where I can get my own show, whether that's like 30 minutes or half an hour. We can discuss Greek mythology things because that's fun.
I would 100% tune in constantly, so I think that
Have you
should
on
happen.
as a guest? How's that sound? A lot.
Ooh, okay.
All right. Anyways, back to the
I mean, I'm
story.
here for
Pandora's
it.
box. So
Yeah.
Zeus makes this woman, teaches her how to lie and be deceitful.
Of course.
Sends him down to Earth to Epi. And of course he doesn't know this, so he's just like, "Oh yeah, look, this lady just stumbled into my life, and she's perfect. I'm gonna marry her." And of course Zeus sends with Pandora the box and tells her, "You can never open this." However,
That's
because
awful.
Pandora was A, human, and B, one of the gods, I believe it was Hermes, because it's technically kind of considered a negative trait, was imbued with tons and tons of curiosity. So eventually she caves in, she opens the box. And of course all the evil spirits get let out, and this is very similar to like the Garden of Eden story, where like a human goes against the god or gods, and then all of humanity is punished for it. It's
Oh, of
like that
course.
same exact idea. And yeah, no, I found it really interesting because Zeus doesn't give humanity hope until Pandora dies, which she dies. She's immortal, so she lives a mortal life. So probably like at least 60 some years.
Jeez.
And then yeah, so like so Zeus was like, "Hey humanity, this dude just gave you fire and I didn't tell you not to take it, so now I'm going to punish you for it."
Oh my gosh. I think we need to like have an entire hour-long show just talking about Zeus
Oh
and
my gosh.
how bad he is.
He's got his little fingies and toes and so many stories. It's
Like, can we just have an hour-long show about that? Like, I mean everything, because Zeus is awful.
Mhm.
There's so many. Oh my gosh, there's so many things that are awful. But yeah, so I was kind of right.
You were kind of right. Anytime anybody who doesn't do like the super in-depth research is basically gonna tell you like that or like a little less than like what you said, but like it's the finer details that makes the story really like pop. You know,
Yeah.
that's what makes it so intriguing to me.
So how soon do you think you would have opened the box?
Oh, probably right away if I, honestly, because Zeus didn't tell her what was in it. He was just like, "Here's a box, don't open it, goodbye." Yeah, I'd probably be like, "Oh, okay." I'd probably last like a week, maybe 2 weeks, and then the
Oh.
fear of Zeus would wear off, and I'm like, you know what? If it's something really good in this box, then it's worth it. If it's something really bad, can't be worse than Zeus' wrath. But
Oh, that's true. I didn't think about that. Because at first I was like, you know what? I would probably open the box right away, personally, because if you guys didn't know, I am a very, very curious person. If someone tells, like, okay, this happened before. If someone tells me, hey, don't go over there might be poison ivy. I'm the type of person who will go over there and will end up with poison ivy. Thankfully, I never have. I used, if I was gonna be more like, listen, it was in the woods, okay? It was in the woods, like, by my old church, and I wanted to go see what was over there.
fun fact,
So
and I'll
I
let
did.
you get back to your show, and I'll leave you alone.
Okay.
Poison ivy isn't actually poison. It's an acquired allergy.
Really?
Yep. So have you lived in like Indiana all of your life?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why. Because you've had so much poison ivy in the air, contact with it, that you've developed an allergy to it, and it's can be
Ooh.
partially genetic. So, fun fact for you.
I mean, I know, like, I want to say, I think someone in my family, like, walked through poison ivy and was fine. So, I mean.
Yeah. I have yet to test that. I don't think I really want to. If I had to guess, I mean, I've been here my entire life. I'm sure I'm allergic to it. So. Oh, Jennings isn't allergic?
Really?
Lucky man. All right.
Okay, I kind of want to test
Wife, on the
this.
other hand, god awful.
Well, yeah.
Oh.
like hospitalization bad.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, and I mean,
jeez.
yeah, that's a really good point. And
Yeah.
either way, it's like you can have like just like a little allergy. You've got some bumps and whatnot, or you can, on the very bad side, be hospitalized for it.
So,
So.
is it bad that I kind of want to like get poison ivy just to see like if I'm allergic? To
No,
it?
because I contemplate that like constantly. I'm like, do I really want to know? But
I
then I'm
kind of
like,
want to know.
do I want to waste like, because you can still develop an allergy to it, like especially if you're going to be rolling around in it constantly and be like,
True.
I'm not allergic, and then one day you're going to get bumps and go, oh no, I've developed an allergy.
Oh, no. I would just kind of want to because I'm not allergic to anything, like, at all. Like, I'll get Caesar allergies, but like, who doesn't? I
Sure.
don't know.
My
It's
gosh, the past
crazy.
2 days have been absolutely horrid here.
But I've been loving the weather though. I'm here for it. Honestly.
The weather's great. The flowers all over the ground. I walked out of school one day and I looked at the flowers on the ground. I was like, oh god, it's starting. Sure enough, I get to dinner with my grandma. My eyes literally just like explode with like itchiness. I'm
Oh.
like, oh my gosh, I can't do this anymore.
I mean, hey, I know I talked about not last week, 2 weeks ago, like Persephone, guys, it's spring. Persephone's back. She's back from the underworld. Let's
Back
go.
to the world, let's go. Her half a year, not 2/3 of the year, has gone by.
I knew you were gonna say something if I mentioned that. Okay.
I did. I was waiting for it.
Oh, so you were waiting for you to just mention Persephone. So you'd be like, actually, it was this.
I ranted about it to Maggie for about a minute, and I was like, I'm done. I don't need to bring that up to Ashley. She did fine.
Well, I was pretty accurate today.
You were, actually. Yes, you did. You should give yourself a pat or multiple pats on the back. You've earned it.
All right, Jake. Well, thank you for joining
Thank
today.
you for letting me on and rant a little bit.
Oh, of
It's
course.
always great.
I agree. So if you guys haven't figured this out by now, the music in my show, I kind of try to relate to every segment that I do. So this is Pandora's Box by Marina. So that last song was Pandora's Box by Marina. And like I said, I kind of like, I matched the songs to the segment, which I probably should have said when I first started the show, but didn't. So these songs are, like I said, they match the segment, so they're not like usually what I would listen to. Like this song was, that last song was like kind of slow for my taste. But hey, I mean, it relates to Pandora, it talks about her, so we chillin', we vibin'. So now we're going to be going back in time and across an ocean for today's Criminal Chronicles. So I don't know if you guys have heard about this person. I have personally. A couple months ago, I believed we talked about it on Chatterbox, etc., or 60 Minute Madness. One of those. I'm getting told yes, we did, briefly. But I'm going to go a little bit more in depth. And this is the story of Jack the Ripper. London, 1888. 5 women dead, all within a mile of each other. Their killer never caught or even identified. Now, normally, like I did with Bella Guinness 2 weeks ago, I would start with like the background story of the killer, kind of like how they grew up, what their housing situation was like, everything like that. Well, Jack the Ripper was never identified, so I don't have that background information to go off of. Obviously, the only thing I do know is that the person lived in London, so there's that. But, and the other only, like, little thing to the killings is that Jack sent several letters to the London Metropolitan Police detailing his murders and where the bodies could be found. And you might be thinking, like, well, why didn't they just use, like, fingerprinting on the letters to, like, track this guy down? They didn't really have that technology back then, or it wasn't really as advanced as it is now. So they're really, like, using the letters, there wasn't really a way to track the murderer down. Sadly, personally, I kind of wish there was, because this is, like, very, very mysterious. But his killings started on August 7th and mysteriously ended September 10th, which is a very, very short amount of time to kill. Like, Bella Guinness, her killings kind of lasted throughout her entire lifetime. So, like, why care about Jack at all? 5 murders all took place within a month. But his legacy isn't about how many people he killed. It was kind of how he killed. So this next bit is a little bit graphic, and I can't really go into it too much because it is, like, kind of bad. But if you want to know, like, what Jack the Ripper did exactly, you can kind of look that up. But he wouldn't kill with a knife or anything, which, I don't really know how. I don't know how he did what he did, but he did what he did. He got the name the Ripper because he would disbowel, like, people that he killed. Like I said, not going too into that because it does get pretty graphic. But the fact that he only killed women and, like, the stuff that he would do made people believe that he was just against women in general. And the citizens of London, of course, wanted an answer on who this killer was, even though he only killed for a short amount of time. Anyway, but I cannot read. I cannot read words today, guys. Anyways, so they wanted answers on who the killer was, which is another reason why, like, his legacy continued. Like, continued, because no one knows who he is. Or she. There's no, like, identification of whether it was a man or female. We're kind of assuming that it was a guy because, like, he killed only women. I don't think a woman would kill other women, but, there's that. But there are several TV series, books, documentaries, and even movies on Jack the Ripper. I've seen, like, a short series, so if you guys want to check that out, let me know, because I want to know a little bit more about that. But Jack the Ripper has been nothing but successful. In 2011, Detective Trevor Marriott decided to take on the case of Jack the Ripper, but the London police officers didn't allow him the files on the Ripper case, which caused a lot of speculation on whether the case was solved, kept secret. Like, there was no known reason as to why. But I think it's crazy that there are several different things about Jack the Ripper. Like, he's never been identified. People don't know if it was a male or a female. And the bad thing is we just simply might never know. And as awful as this is going to sound, I'm going to be for real with you guys, I don't see the hype around this guy. only because like he killed such a short time, only killed 5 people. And I mean, like I said, this is going to sound awful, but I feel like if 5 people, in order to be classified, like, okay, so to be classified as a serial killer, you have to kill more than 3 people. But I feel like it should be more than that. I don't know. But 2 weeks is barely, like, enough time to be killing people. But, that's just me. I think that, like, maybe killing 7 people, 5, 7 people, you'd be considered, but 3, whatever. So if you guys kind of think that I'm crazy about that, like, saying, like, no, like, you should be a serial killer at 5 people, let me know, because I'm just really curious on what people think of that. I think 3 is, like, too low, but, that's just me. I might be a little crazy. But, like, I've been talking about Jack the Ripper for a little bit now. So if you guys know anything else about Jack the Ripper or anything else that, like, you would have liked to see, comment, let me know. I'm always down to learn more stuff about history because I love history, obviously. So, like I said, I connect the songs to the segment. So this next song is The Ripper. I absolutely loved the guitar in that song. And if you heard it, it tells a little bit more about the story of Jack the Ripper, which is another reason why I love connecting the songs to the segments that I talk about. Because you guys get to hear me yap about it for a few minutes and then listen to the song about it. I don't know. I think that's really cool personally, obviously, or else I wouldn't have it on my show. But in case you guys haven't figured out by now, Histories and Mysteries, okay? That's the show. But I do have a segment that kind of transitions between the history and the mysteries, and that is Criminal Chronicles, because all the criminals I talk about are like historic criminals, obviously, but it's also a little bit of conspiracy along with them, so that's the bridge. And this is going to start the mystery portion of the show, like I said, with crazy conspiracies. And today is the mystery of Amelia Earhart. So I'm going to go ahead and tell you a little bit about her. So she first became interested in flying when she met several injured World War I pilots at a hospital. I guess she kind of like did some work there or something like that. So she lived in Toronto. So she was near a military airfield. So she would kind of like look out her window and kind of watch the planes go by and was like, "Ooh, that looks really cool. I want to do that." So in an interview before she left for her flight, she was asked, like I said, why she wanted to fly, and she literally just responded with, "It seemed interesting," which I mean, very fair. Honestly, I wouldn't mind flying a plane if I wasn't kind of scared of flying in a plane, which I've only done twice. But hey, props to her. On May 21st, 1937, Amelia and her navigator, Fred Noonan, began their flight starting in California. On July 2nd that same year, her navigator, and her plane all went missing. Some people believe that the Japanese soldiers captured her under suspicion of being an American spy. Others believe that she crashed and ended up in like another country, like other than Japan, and she just decided to take up a new identity and kind of just live out the rest of her life. Her crashing in the Pacific and like drowning, though, is kind of most likely what could have happened. And what is said is if she were to fly like off course, like even like slightly, like a mile, she would have very, very little time to stop and refuel because obviously you cannot circumnavigate the world with one tank of gas. Half the time you can't really drive from like more than a couple miles before you have to refuel for gas. That's just driving. Planes maybe work differently. Newsflash, they do not. Anyways, there was a group of several islands just a few hundred miles apart that Amelia planned to stop at and refuel, but only a few of them were actually owned by the U.S. The others were in control of the Japanese. So if something went wrong with her plane, she could have had to land on one of the Japanese islands in like an emergency, but it's believed that she could have been killed by them. In a search to find her and her plane, the Japanese islands were never checked. And now I don't know if that's the case now. That was a little while ago, so it's possible that they could have been checked. I don't know. But if she did crash land on the Japanese island, it is possible they could have killed her like under suspicion of being an American spy. But what would happen to her plane? What they could have done is like taken apart her plane, used the parts for like scrap or used parts for other different things, which I think that is probably the like most likely thing that happened, because if she would have landed in the Pacific, we would have found her plane by now, but we haven't. As far as I know, as far as my research told me, her plane has not been found. So I mean, if she did land in a Japanese island and did get killed, scrapping her plane would be the only answer, because like they're not going to put it in the ocean. Like there's no reason to put it in the ocean. You got some good metal on that plane, like different wiring. Might as well make the most of it. Kind of awful of me to say, but I don't know. I think, like I said, the Japanese would be the most likely answer. But I mean, her crashing on an island and starting a new life, which is what a lot of people do believe. Like that's like probably one of the biggest conspiracies, is that she's like lived out her life on like a little island, had a whole new life made for herself. See, I don't think that though. Because her like circumnavigating the world was a big deal at the time, like first female to ever even attempt it. So she was kind of already like a little celebrity figure type thing, but even just attempting it. So why would she want to go from a life of fame and attention to getting a whole new identity? Also, how would she get a whole new identity? I personally don't know, but crazy conspiracies, am I right? So yeah, comment what you think. If you think she was killed by like the Japanese, if she crash landed in the Pacific, or if she just crashed and took up her own little identity. But thank you for letting me take you on a little flight there with Amelia Earhart. This is Earhart by Steam Powered Giraffe. Okay, guys, so that last song was Earhart by Steam Powered Giraffe. Can we just take a moment and, like, that is a very, very unique band name. When I came across it, I was like, are you for real? Like, that's their name? Okay, cool. So, Amelia Earhart was an amazing woman who inspired so many young girls, and I really hope that one day we find out what happened to her. Now, normally I would go on to the forgotten story, but we sadly are out of time. I know, guys. I just kept talking for so long. So we're gonna hold forgotten story, that one for next week. But I do have to say, the person I will be talking about, you think you guys are gonna think he's pretty interesting? I think he's really interesting, which I might actually be doing a conspiracy theory segment on this person as well, like in the future. So you guys are gonna get to hear about him twice. So I want to thank you guys for tuning in. Tune in next week for another episode, but tune in tomorrow for The Real Melody with my absolute bestie, Maggie Vincent. This is Ashley Billingsley with Histories and Mysteries, signing out for the day. Have a great one. Bye.